Before a single arrow was fired at Kurukshetra, the war had already been lost and won. Not on a battlefield, but in the hearts of children, in the vows of old men, and in the silence of a king who could see everything but the truth. Every great story has a beginning, but the beginning of the Mahabharata is not a single moment. It is a crack that spreads across generations, a debt passed from father to son, a promise made to the river that would one day demand a price paid in blood. This is the story of that beginning, the Adi Parva, the book of the first things. It begins, as all great dynastic struggles do, with a fragile throne. The grandsire Bhishma, in an act of sacrifice so profound it would echo through eternity, took a terrible vow, the Bhishma Pratikya, a vow of lifelong celibacy, renouncing the throne of Hastinapura forever, simply to allow his father to marry the woman he loved. He secured his father's happiness, but in doing so, he broke the line of succession and left the kingdom's future to chance. And into that vacuum of power, 2 generations later, 2 sets of cousins were born. 100 sons, the Kauravas, born to the blind king Dhritarashtra and queen Gandhari, born from a mother's desperate ambition and a father's insecure heart. And 5 sons, the Pandavas, born to the pale king Pandu in the forest, born not from a king's loins, but from a celestial prayer to the gods themselves. They grew up together in the halls of Hastinapura. But they were not brothers. They were rivals from the first breath. One side, led by the eldest Kaurava, Duryodhana, possessed the kingdom by birthright. The other side, led by the righteous Yudhishthira, possessed the qualities of true kingship by nature. And in any palace, nature and birthright are destined for collision. Their guru, the great Dronacharya, trained them all in the arts of war. But while he taught them equally, the gods did not distribute talent equally. Bhima's strength was that of 10,000 elephants. Yudhishthira's understanding of dharma was peerless. And Arjuna was different. When Drona asked his students what they saw when aiming at a wooden bird in a tree, the Kauravas saw the tree, the branch, their teacher, their brothers. Arjuna saw only one thing. I see only the eye of the bird, Gurudeva, nothing else. That focus, that singular world-dissolving concentration, was not just the mark of a great archer. It was a sign, a prophecy of a warrior who could bend reality to his will. And Duryodhana saw it. He saw the excellence of his cousins, and he did not feel inspiration. He felt the cold, burning poison of jealousy, a jealousy that would soon curdle into hate. The rivalry of children soon became the conspiracy of a prince. Duryodhana, advised by his venomous uncle Shakuni, decided that if he could not defeat his cousins in skill, he would destroy them with fire. He had a palace built for them, a beautiful, opulent house in the town of Varanavata, a house made of lacquer, of ghee, of wax, of everything that burns. It was called Lakshagraha, the house of wax. It was not a home. It was a tomb, waiting for a spark. The Pandavas, warned by their wise uncle Vidura, understood the trap. They lived within its flammable walls, counting the days, digging a tunnel in secret. And on the night Duryodhana's men came to light the pyre, they vanished into the darkness of the earth, leaving behind only ashes and the belief that they were dead. The world mourned the 5 princes, and in that morning Duryodhana tasted his first victory, a victory built on a lie. The Pandavas were now fugitives. They walked the forests of Bhartavarsha disguised as poor Brahmins, their royal clothes exchanged for simple robes, their identities hidden. This was their first exile, a trial by shadow. Here they learned not just to survive, but to protect. Bhima, the mighty son of the wind god, slayed the demon Bakasura, liberating a village that had been living in terror. They had lost a kingdom, but they had not lost their dharma. And then destiny called them from the shadows. In the kingdom of Panchala, a Swayamvara was being held for the princess Draupadi, a woman born of fire, famed for her beauty, intelligence, and spirit. The challenge for her hand was one of divine impossibility, to string a celestial bow that no mortal man could bend, and with it, pierce the eye of a golden fish rotating high above, using only its reflection in a pool of oil below. Kings and princes from every corner of the land came. They tried, they strained, they failed. The great bow did not yield. And then, from the crowd of onlookers, a humble Brahmin stepped forward. The court laughed, the king sneered, but the Brahmin walked to the bow, closed his eyes for a single moment, and lifted it as if it were a blade of grass. He strung it. He aimed. He fired. The arrow flew true. And in that moment, the princes who were meant to be dead returned to the world of the living. It was Arjuna. But destiny had one more twist. When the brothers returned to their mother, Kunti, they announced they had won a great prize. Without looking, she gave a command that would change their lives forever. Whatever you have brought, you must share it equally among yourselves. A mother's word, once spoken, could not be taken back. And so Draupadi, through a confluence of a past life's boon and a mother's accidental command, became the wife of all 5 brothers. It was a decision that baffled the world, but it forged the 5 Pandavas into a single, unbreakable unit. It was during this time that they met the one man who would guide them through the darkness to come, their cousin, the king of Dwarka, Krishna. He was not just a king, he was the anchor of Dharma in an age when the world was beginning to lose its balance. He saw the Pandavas not for who they were pretending to be, but for who they truly were. And in his eyes, they saw their own destiny reflected. When the truth of their survival reached Hastinapura, the kingdom was thrown into turmoil. Dhritarashtra, pressured by Bhishma and Vidura, had no choice but to welcome his nephews back. But he would not give them their kingdom. Instead, he offered a compromise born of fear and injustice. He would partition the land. The Kauravas would keep Hastinapura, the rich, ancestral heart of the empire. The Pandavas were given a barren, cursed wilderness, a place of snakes and stone, scorched by the sun, a land called Indraprastha. It was not a gift, it was an insult, designed for them to fail. But they were not alone. With Krishna by their side, and with the help of the divine architect Vishvakarma, they performed a miracle. They cleared the cursed land. They built a city. But it was more than a city, it was a marvel. A place of shimmering halls, crystal floors, and impossible beauty. A city so magnificent it was said to rival the capital of the gods themselves. They called it Indraprastha. The Adi Parva end here, not with an ending, but with a new, more glorious beginning. The Pandavas, who started with nothing, had created a paradise. They had proven that true kingdoms are not inherited. They are built, through perseverance, through righteousness, and through unity. But the story of the Mahabharata is a story of balance. For every action, there is a reaction. For every light, there is a shadow. The very perfection of Indraprastha, the shining symbol of Pandava's virtue, would plant a new, more dangerous seed of jealousy in Duryodhana's heart. The light they had created would cast a shadow so dark, it would one day lead them all to a field of dust and blood. The Mahabharata is not a story of one war. It is a story of 1,000 small choices that made that war inevitable. A vow of celibacy, a word of praise for one cousin over another, a palace of wax, an accidental command from a mother, a gift of barren land. Each one a thread, each one pulling the world closer to its fate. Because beginnings are never just beginnings, they are prophecies. Think about that.